The day after Christmas, Dr. Watson visited Sherlock Holmes at his cozy Baker Street apartment. By the fireplace sat an odd pair, a worn-out felt hat and a plump frozen goose. "A case?" Watson asked. "Quite," Holmes replied. "These were left behind last night when a man was attacked near Tottenham Court Road. He dropped them while running off. Peterson, a commissionaire, chased off the attackers and brought the items to me." Holmes picked up the hat with interest. It was dusty, dented, and had the initials HB inside. This man was once well off, clever and careful about his appearance, Holmes said. But now he's fallen on hard times. Watson smiled. "You deduce all that from a hat?" "Of course," said Holmes. "There is much in a hat." Just then, Peterson rushed back in, holding something in his hand. "Look, Mr. Holmes, when my wife was cleaning the goose for dinner, she found this inside." He opened his palm to reveal a shining blue jewel. Holmes took it, examining the deep, icy sparkle. "Peterson," he said slowly, "you have brought me the missing blue carbuncle, the Countess of Morcar's stolen gem. A cooked goose, a lost hat, and now, a mystery." Holmes turned the sparkling blue stone in his fingers, eyes narrowing with interest. "This is no ordinary gem," he said. "This is the famous blue carbuncle, recently stolen from the Countess of Morcar at the Hotel Cosmopolitan." Watson remembered reading about it. A rare and valuable jewel, vanished just days ago. "The police arrested a plumber named John Horner," Holmes explained. "He was fixing a fireplace in the Countess's room when the gem disappeared. But it was James Ryder, the hotel attendant, who pointed the finger at him." Peterson looked puzzled. "Then how did it get inside the goose?" "That," Holmes said with a spark in his eye, "is what we shall discover." The goose had been eaten, the thief had vanished, but the stone was here, and Holmes was ready to follow the trail, no matter how strange it might be. Now that Holmes knew the jewel had been hidden inside a goose, the next question was simple. Who owned the goose? To find out, Holmes placed an ad in the newspaper, asking the man who had lost a goose and a hat near Tottenham Court Road to come forward. The next evening, a timid, middle-aged man arrived at Baker Street. "My name is Henry Baker," he said, eyeing the goose on Holmes's table. "I saw the notice. I believe that bird may be mine." Holmes smiled kindly. "Did you know there was anything unusual inside it?" "No," cried Mr. Baker. "I just wanted my Christmas goose back." It was clear to Holmes that Mr. Baker had nothing to do with the missing jewel. He gave the man a new goose and let him go. "Now we trace the bird," Holmes said to Watson. Mr. Baker had bought it from the Alpha Inn. With that clue, the search continued. With Mr. Henry Baker no longer a suspect, Holmes turned to his next clue. The Alpha Inn, where Baker had gotten his Christmas goose. Holmes and Watson set out through the cold London streets and found the small pub tucked away in a side alley. The innkeeper, Mr. Windigate, was cheerful but busy. "Ah yes," he said. "Those geese came from a man at Covent Garden Market. Name's Breckenridge." Holmes thanked him and hurried off to the market with Watson at his side. Covent Garden bustled with people, noise and crates of food. At one stall, a red-faced man was loudly arguing with a customer. You said you had more of the same geese, the man snapped. Breckenridge slammed a box shut. And I told you, I'm out, now go bother someone else. The man stormed off, frustrated. Holmes stepped up. That man seemed quite upset. Breckenridge grumbled. He's been here 3 times today, asking about a goose he gave to his sister. Why he cares so much about a bird, I can't say. Holmes, ever polite, chatted with Breckenridge and gently coaxed the truth from him. The geese, it turned out, had come from Mrs. Oakshott, a woman who raised birds in Brixton. Watson leaned in. So now we have a name and a location. Holmes's eyes gleamed. Yes, and we've seen someone far too nervous about a missing goose. The man who had just left, the one arguing at the stall, was not just anyone. That was James Ryder. And Holmes had no intention of letting him get away. Holmes had been watching the man who had argued with Breckenridge at the market. James Ryder, the hotel attendant who had originally accused the plumber of stealing the blue carbuncle. Holmes suspected Ryder was hiding something. That evening, Holmes sent a young page boy to follow Ryder and bring him to Baker Street. When Ryder arrived, his face was pale and his hands trembled. Holmes greeted him calmly. Mr. Ryder, you seem troubled. I believe you know more about the blue carbuncle than you've told the police. Ryder looked at Holmes with nervous eyes. I don't know what you mean, he said. Holmes leaned forward. You told the police that John Horner stole the gem, but it was not Horner's doing. It was you and your accomplice, Catherine Cusack. Ryder's shoulders sagged. Yes, he whispered. It's true. Catherine and I planned to steal the gem together. I was frightened and confused when it all went wrong. Holmes nodded. Tell us exactly what happened. Ryder swallowed hard and began. I worked at the Hotel Cosmopolitan where the Countess of Morcar stayed. Catherine, the hotel maid, and I decided to steal the blue carbuncle. The Countess was very rich, and the gem was worth a fortune. We planned to take it without anyone noticing. One night, while John Horner was fixing the fireplace in the Countess's room, Catherine slipped the gem into her pocket. But when the crime was discovered, Horner was blamed because he was working there at the time. Ryder's voice trembled. I panicked. To hide the stone, I placed it inside a Christmas goose my sister raised. But I lost track of which goose had the gem. Holmes smiled slightly. And that's how the goose ended up in the hands of Mr. Baker. Ryder looked desperate. I was so afraid I might be caught. I tried to buy back the goose, but it was too late. Now the police are after me. Holmes regarded him quietly for a moment. You have done wrong, Mr. Ryder. But sometimes fear and foolishness lead us down the wrong path. Ryder's eyes filled with tears. What will happen to me? Holmes stood. That depends. I believe the innocent must be protected. Horner will be cleared, and the gem returned to its rightful owner. Ryder's face was pale but calmer. Holmes added, Now, tell me more about your sister, Mrs. Oakshott, and where she lives. Ryder gave the address without hesitation. Holmes had all he needed. As Ryder left Baker Street, Watson whispered, Holmes, what will you do? Will you hand him over to the police? Holmes shook his head. Justice isn't always about punishment, Watson. Sometimes mercy is the better path. With Ryder's story told, Holmes and Watson set out for Brixton to visit Mrs. Oakshott, Ryder's sister, who had raised the goose with the hidden jewel. When they arrived, the small house was cozy and warm, smelling of fresh bread and wood smoke. Mrs. Oakshott was surprised but kind. She explained how her brother had asked her to sell the goose, but she never suspected anything unusual. Holmes carefully placed the blue carbuncle on the table. "This jewel must be returned to its rightful owner, the Countess of Morcar," he said. Watson wondered aloud, "But what about Ryder? What will happen to him?" Holmes looked thoughtful. "He will not be punished for a foolish mistake. The true thief was his panic and fear, not the man himself." Back in London, Holmes and Watson visited the police and told them the truth. John Horner, the plumber, was freed from suspicion and thanked them warmly. The blue carbuncle was returned to the Countess, who was overjoyed to have her precious gem back. As Holmes and Watson settled by the fire, Holmes mused, "Sometimes the smallest clue, a lost hat, a cooked goose, can unravel the biggest mysteries." Watson smiled. "And sometimes, mercy is the greatest justice of all." After the blue carbuncle was safely returned, Holmes and Watson saw that justice had been done. John Horner, the plumber wrongly accused, was free to go back to his work, thankful and relieved. James Ryder, now calm and honest, promised to live a better life. Holmes had shown mercy, knowing that fear and mistake had led Ryder astray. The Countess of Morcar was grateful to have her precious jewel again. She thanked Holmes for solving the mystery in such an unexpected way. Life in London went on, and the famous detective settled back into his chair, ready for the next mystery to come knocking at his door.